Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much to BizTech HR Summit for providing this opportunity to talk about emerging trends on employee performance management with the case studies from India. Oftentimes, when we go to any of these conferences, we hear a lot of case studies from the West. We hear about Adobe, Accenture, Microsoft, so many what they are doing and other stuff. And in our experience, we have seen several experimentations and case studies in India, and then there are a lot of things that Indian companies are doing on the performance management space. The reflection of those thoughts are what culminated in this particular session. And I'm thankful to all of you and then all our wonderful customers for providing us this opportunity to talk about these case studies. Before I get into the case study, I want to give a brief background about Synergita. Synergita is a continuous employee performance and engagement software. And some of our customers are Capita, Vedanta, Global Edge, Breaks India, Radisson. Like this, there are several companies using our software. We have about like 60,000 plus users on our software with about like 80 plus customers. And we are also winner of Microsoft Code for Honor and then Cody finalist for Best Human Capital and Talent Management Software. So some of these case studies that I'm going to be presenting are based on the work that we have been doing with our customers, and that's where we are going to be talking about it. Synergita, again, it helps organizations to focus on the holistic employee development. We help the organizations to focus on employee goals, then continuous feedback, employee engagement, and employee development. It's a holistic performance engagement and development software. And some of the key trends that we see in India on the performance are as follows. One, employee performance is really becoming a business vertical, is becoming a high priority for any CEO across all the business verticals, because like it's a way to engage and motivate employees. And second one is performance appraisals. If they are done annually, it really does not add a lot of value to either people or business, and everybody understand that. Most of the times annual appraisals are just a key for doing the compensation revision, and then as all of us realize, nobody bothers about it. So it becomes one of the stress factor in the employee life cycle. HR doesn't like it, manager doesn't managers don't like it, employees don't like it, so it's really like not really helpful. Whereas if you make it as a continuous with continuous performance, continuous feedback, then it makes a lot of sense for everyone. And we are seeing that the continuous feedback is gaining momentum in Indian companies. And more and more companies are moving the employee reviews more towards development rather than compensation oriented. And companies are experimenting these with several feedback mechanisms, and then also removing the rating or separating the rating, or separating the reviews with the salary revisions and all of those things. And a lot of companies are actually automating the performance management process. Most of the times performance management, again, since it's done once in a year, several companies are doing it pen and paper. Now they are all looking at seeing how they can automate and then bring in more efficiency, more transparency. And then also, the moment you are going to have it as a continuous process, say even if you want to do 4 times a year in terms of having a structured performance discussion between a manager and the employee, so it's actually a lot of work. And it makes sense to automate the process and then see how frequently you can do the feedback discussions between manager and the employees. And a lot of companies are moving towards how do I create engaged employees in their companies, and that's becoming a buzzword. So these are all some of the trends that we are seeing, and I'm sure like it's pretty much same or similar to what the Western worlds are seeing. So pretty much exactly similar. So what I'm going to do now is picking up a few of the Indian companies and then highlighting what they are doing on each of these trends. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about the continuous performance, and then the continuous feedback, then the upward feedback between employees and managers, and finally about the moving away from rating. So the first trend that I'm going to be talking about is the continuous performance. So, Vedanta Resources is one of the large industrial conglomerate in India. It's a global organization with 25,000 plus employees, with operations across several different countries. As you know, some of the group companies of Vedanta Resources are Hindustan Zinc, Kain Energy, Sterlite Copper, Balco. Like this, there are several companies. What they are doing is actually trying to bring in or standardize the employee performance management process across all the business units. Whether you go to Sterlite or whether you go to Hindustan Zinc, they want to have a clear mechanism in terms of how employees are evaluated, and it's going to be a single mechanism across all the organization units, and that brings in a lot of benefits for the company, because now as they standardize, it's easy for them to compare, easy for them to measure and then manage the performance. And they are also they have brought in a measurable set of KPIs for all their employees. So every employee will have to specify the KPI, and that will have to be updated on a quarterly basis. So the moment you are going to have it on a quarterly basis, that is the updation of the status. So it's going to be really helpful, because the entire employee performance is going to be updated, and then it will be rolled up to the corporate level. There will be clear visibility in terms of who is performing well, who is not performing, or who needs help, so that like the organization can focus in terms of on people who needs help in reaching their goals, and then actually seeing how it can be pushed across so that the overall business performance can go higher. And they are also trying to bring in a predictive performance analysis on these employees, because the moment you have the data in terms of Q1, Q2, Q3, you can marry that with the individual performance, and then see how you can actually predict what's going to be the overall annual performance in terms of achievements. So that's going to bring in a lot of that's going to really help the organization to go from level 1 to level 2 and then beat the expectations. To enable this, so they have also created a program called V Connect. Basically, we perform focuses on performance, that is through KPIs, and V Connect is a employee connection program, especially to focus on increasing the employee engagement between managers and the employees. So we perform and we connect are two initiatives that Vedanta has taken. So there is one on the continuous performance. The second trend that I'm going to be talking about is the continuous feedback. So basically, continuous feedback and performance discussions are the key for better collaboration and trust among employees and managers. Here I'm going to be talking about the initiative that Breaks India has taken. Breaks India is a part of a TVS Group company. It's one of the largest OEM automotive components manufacturers in India. They employ about 7,000 employees, and they have manufacturing plants spread across the country. And what they have started is like they have started in terms of automating their performance management process couple of years back, and they have brought in the efficiency into the organization on the performance management. And one of the beautiful things that if you look at the performance management process or the performance feedback form itself, it has two portions. One is how somebody is doing now, and second one is to find out or to capture the employee potential and development plan. So what's the employee potential? Is that person how is he going to be, or he or she is going to be in the next 2 years? Are there any job rotation to be planned? What's the career development? So the feedback form itself captures both the performance feedback as well as the employee development, which is forward thinking process. So while they have automated the process and then seen the efficiency, this year they have introduced a beautiful concept called employee diary, or you call it, they also call it as a critical incidents diary. So basically, managers provide feedback at multiple points of time during the year, and this gets recorded into the system. And from Synergita perspective, it's a very simple and easy to use. So whether managers want to record, or employees want to record, or any peers want to record, it's a lot more easier to do. But basically what they are trying to do is, like, managers should provide feedback, managers should share the appreciation, thank you, or any of the area of improvements, or any critical incidents. Say some important task is done by an employee, so it's completed, so go and mark it saying that, like, it's done, so that it's recorded in the employee diary. And what happens is, these things can be referred in the performance reviews. So they are trying to go towards for 4 times a year. Currently, like, for this year it's going to be twice, that is October and March. But with the continuous feedback or the critical incidents in place, managers will be able to review, or like look at the employee diary and then get into the performance discussion, so that way it will be a lot more. That's about breaks India. Then the third trend is going to be about upward feedback. While the continuous performance or continuous feedback is all nice to see, but it actually focuses, or it when you look at it from a culture perspective, it's one of the big change for the organization to take up the continuous performance or continuous feedback into their organization. Because now there is a continuous feedback flowing between managers and the employees. And both stakeholders, that is managers, should also be open, and then they should be open to provide feedback and receive feedback. They should also actually help in terms of how they are actually handling this change. So one of our customer, Capita, again, it's a large UK based company. They have about 8,000 plus people working in India. So they have a center in Bombay, then they have a center in Pune and Bangalore. So plus again, they have got several best places to work recognitions and all. So what they are doing is, they have brought in a concept called upward feedback inside the organization. Basically, team members would provide feedback about the manager to the manager. And again, they have kept it more anonymous at this point of time, so that it's a lot more easier, and then it can be helpful for the employees to provide feedback, or like provide confidential feedback little more easily. So, and if you look at some of the questions, my manager is helping me in my job to achieve my KRAs, or my manager encourages me to think out of the box. My manager is always reachable for me. So something, how manager is actually helping on the employees in their day-to-day job, how they are actually helping on the continuous feedback. So the moment you get these kind of inputs from the team members to the manager, it actually helps the managers to address, or like polish them, and then also they can actually use these inputs in their development plans. Plus also it actually gives a visibility for HR in terms of how this uh, continuous feedback culture is coming into the organization, or how is it helping in the organization. So people who, wherever there are challenges, they will also be able to get in and then help the managers to address those problems. That's about the upward feedback. So the fourth trend, I'm sure like all of us would be able to relate it. And then whenever we read in the magazines that Adobe has abolish the annual appraisals, or like companies moving away from rating. So how do they do that? So I'm going to share about one of our customer, Global Edge, what they are doing to move away from the rating. Again, Global Edge is a large 1500 plus people software services company based in Bangalore with operations in the US and several other countries. So what they have done is they have moved more towards a qualitative feedback, and they have removed the rating from this feedback. Basically, if you look at their feedback form, so the feedback form will have multiple things around KPIs, competency, and all of those things. But managers are forced to provide meaningful feedback to the team members. Normally, if you look at the feedback form with the rating, so there will be a rating and then there will be a comments box. But majority of the time, managers just to go and choose three, four, five, and then they will put one or two line, one line, pretty much saying that hey, you are doing good, or like you can improve, without any specific feedback and or examples, or like some specific pointers for the employees on what they should do. So now what Global Edge has done is basically design the feedback form in such a way that like managers are mandated to provide meaningful feedback in their feedback form, and there are no rating. So what happens is this gives an opportunity for the employees, rather the team members and the manager, to actually discuss on how they can do things better, right? So that's what like Global Edge has done, so that actually brings the managers and employees to discuss meaningfully. But still, when it comes into the annual compensation, everybody would need some kind of mechanism to say whether somebody needs to be given 10 percentage or 6 percentage or 13 percentage. So for that purpose, so Global Edge uses a rating model, but there is just one rating wherein managers are asked to provide the rating, and there are no backwards or no base numbers. It's simply managers have to say that okay, this person will fall into bucket A or bucket B or bucket C, and it's also empowers the managers in terms of how they want to provide rating, and this is used as an input for the compensation. So if you really see the approach that Global Edge has taken, the entire process is more people performance and development oriented. As far as the compensation is concerned, there's just only one input which needs to go. So that way, like it's a kind of what do I say, like more the entire process has become more employee development oriented, and they have been doing this for the last 3 years, and they have seen amazing results, especially when HR looks at it. So initially during the first year when they have implemented this process, there was a skepticism among everyone in terms of how is it going to work. But now what HR says is this has completely changed the culture of the organization, and the entire organization has moved, especially when managers talk about performance, it's more development oriented, and then the compensation related concerns have actually gone away. So that's one of the experience that breaks in as that Global Edge is seeing. So now we have seen four different trends. So the first trend was about how Vedanta is working on the continuous performance or the KPIs. So how they have the employees update the KPIs and then use it for predicting the performance. And second trend was on using the continuous feedback. So how Breaks India is using the continuous feedback or the employee diary among their employees. And third one was from Capita on how they are using this upward feedback to enable the managers act as a culture change agents. And fourth one was about Global Edge, how they are trying to move away from rating and then move more towards employee development. And if you really look at each of these organizations, what they are trying to do is to create that extraordinary culture where employees can actually unleash their potential and set the new standards of excellence and create wonders. And this we call it as people magic. And I'm sure as a HR fraternity, each of you are also trying to do something similar, and then trying to create the wonderful environment for your employees and become great place to work companies. Wish you all the best in your endeavor. And I look forward to see several case studies from Indian companies in the near future. Thank you very much.